Welcome to Advent Day 7, Essential Oils of the Bible. And today I want to briefly talk about the frequency of essential oils. So I'm wondering, did you ever see the science experiment where you took two probes and you stuck them in a potato and that potato was able to light up a light bulb? And it's pretty fascinating to see these things that demonstrate that there is electricity, there is energy, there's frequency, really in everything that is living. Now, this is a very elementary description of that, pun intended, but it was a great way for us to start to learn these things about frequency. Now, in middle school science, we began learning that frequency is related to the speed of atoms, the speed that they vibrate at. And we started to understand that part of a frequency was in vibration. And maybe in high school, maybe in trigonometry, you learned about sine and cosine and those waves and how when they're further stretched apart, it is a lower frequency. And when they are more condensed, that it is a faster frequency. And we learned just about how matter is always in motion. It's not stagnant. And that all things that are living are in motion. And that all things that are living actually have their own unique frequency. So today, with that basic review of all of those things, I'm sure there are many of you that know much more about that than I do. I want us to look at essential oils with frequency in mind. So essential oils have frequencies that vary from anywhere to 52 to 320 megahertz. In our bodies, as a reminder, we are electrical. In fact, the human brain itself can generate 25 watts of power, enough to light up a light bulb. Not a very bright light, but it is a light. So the average healthy body has a frequency somewhere between 62 to 68 megahertz. What's fascinating to me is that a lot of time illness sets in when our frequency falls below 58. Now, there was a study that specifically looked at this, and we're going to look at this study of it was just 200 people, but still there's some interesting information that was gathered in this study that I wanted to share with you. So in this study, from 200 subjects is where we found that the average is between 62 to 68. We also learned that the brain, this is really interesting, is 10 megahertz higher during the day, and our bodies are 10 megahertz higher at night while we're sleeping. So in this study, two subjects were each had a frequency of 66 megahertz. That was like their normal. And one held a cup of coffee, and when he did that, his frequency dropped to 58 megahertz within just 3 seconds of holding that cup of coffee. Now, he put that down, he breathed in essential oils, and in 21 seconds, his frequency came back up, okay? The second participant actually drank some of that coffee. His frequency dropped to 52 megahertz within 3 seconds. He did not have the essential oil treatment, and it took 3 days for his frequency to come back up to what it had been. Now, I am not making a case for not drinking coffee, although one perhaps could be made from this. The point I really want to highlight is that we unknowingly, who would have known that? We unknowingly make choices in our life daily that are potentially compromising our frequency. We can become a victim, an unknowing victim at that. But there is a simple solution. Research documents that essential oils reestablish a normal frequency within our human cells. So just for reference, here are some of the findings from that study about frequency. So it found that disease begins at 58 megahertz. Flu starts at 57, Candida at 55, Epstein-Barr at 52, and cancer at 42. And what this tells us is that what we do in our lives that compromise the frequency in the human body we can become a victim. Essential oils reestablish the normal frequency of the human cells. So we can see as we go lower and lower these things that can impact our bodies. But we like to say that essential oils help to keep us above the wellness line. So I want you to consider you can reactively invest in illness and recovery, which takes a lot of time and energy. Fighting with insurance companies, missed work or school, just a drain. And you're already sick or having to help somebody in your family who's sick. And so it's just one hit after another when you already have a struggle. Or you can proactively invest in your wellness. And I would really like to encourage you that instead of saying it's just too expensive, start thinking of it this way. What you're really communicating is my health isn't worth it. Because I hope that that just hits differently for you because your life, your dreams, your calling, your purpose, and being on course for God's kingdom and what you were uniquely created to do are far beyond worth it. So, speaking of worth it, Cassia, which is today's Advent oil, is a spice made from the bark of East Asian evergreen trees that has historically been highly sought after, very worth it to many cultures. So Psalms 45:8 said, all your robes are fragrant with myrrh, aloes, and cassia. From palaces adorned with ivory, the music of the strings makes you glad. So back then, cassia was mentioned 3 times in the Bible, all in the Old Testament. It was a key ingredient in the incense used in temple worship. It was also used as an anointing oil and the oil that burned daily in the temple lamps. Cassia has been used extensively as a domestic spice, has historically been used for upset stomachs, achy joints, even respiratory support during the winter months. It also dates back to the Egyptian times and was used during mummification. Now, today it's noted for its unmistakable fragrance and calming aromatic properties. While its aroma is very closely related to cinnamon, the chemical constituents, so the power of what it can offer to your body, are actually very different. In fact, often what you're buying in the grocery stores that is labeled cinnamon stick or ground cinnamon is very likely cassia. So for this reason, when I diffuse cassia in the house, it smells like I'm walking by Cinnabon at the mall. It is amazing. So good. But the aroma of cinnamon doesn't have that same impact for me at all. I still like it. It's still spicy. It's still fun, but it's not like, oh my goodness, that's a cinnamon roll and I need one right now. Makes the house smell so good. People say the nose knows. And what we're used to smelling baking coming out of our kitchens is actually cassia, not cinnamon. So try them. See what you think. See if you can differentiate between those 2 aromas in your diffuser, cassia or cinnamon. Common uses are to put a drop into your fingers and rub your hands through your hair just as an aroma that's very pleasant. You can also add 1 drop to citrus blends or diffuse with clove, ginger, or Christmas spirit during the fall, winter, and holidays. Now, I do want to say this. This is your tips and safety. If it is used topically, it must be diluted with a carrier oil because it is a hot oil. If the warming sensation is too strong, you'll just apply more carrier oil. Remember, these are the olive, coconut, jojoba, avocado, any of those fatty oils. And you can just keep applying it over the top until that hot sensation goes away. But honestly, for that reason, I prefer just to use it in diffuser and not have to have that hot effect on your skin. Remember that oils and water don't mix. So if you have something hot, putting water on it is going to make it worse. It's going to make it dissipate across the surface of your skin, and now even more of your skin is hot. So oils mix with oils. Use those carrier oils if it's too hot. So that's your warning. So fun fact for today, cinnamon and cassia are 2 species of the same plant genus. They're in the same family, plant family, as bay laurel. So when you use a bay leaf when you're cooking, that's actually the same plant family as cinnamon. That just seems weird to me. So fun fact there. Absolutely fascinating. So what did you learn about cassia or the essential oils and our frequencies today? I'd love to know down in the comments.